In this video, I'm going to show you how to solve these three problems and how to enter them in the calculator, whether you're using your phone or a regular calculator. If you're using your phone, I suggest that you download the Desmos Scientific Calculator. It's much better than the regular calculator that comes on an iPhone. If you have an Android, I think the calculator that is normally on there is more similar to the Desmos, so you should be fine with that. Okay, for the first problem, you are trying to solve for x here. You know this angle, that's 24 degrees. You have this side, and you're trying to find x. This side here is across from the right angle, so that's the hypotenuse. Okay, if you're having trouble labeling adjacent and opposite and stuff, start with the hypotenuse. That is always going to be across from the right angle. Here's my right angle. Look across from that. That's the hypotenuse. The other side, you're going to label based off of the angle that you have as a reference. So this is my angle that I know. Okay, I don't know what this is. This is 24 degrees. This is the angle I'm working with. And this side is the one I'm trying to label. Okay, it's adjacent to it. It's right next to it. So I'm going to write adjacent here. Based off of these two things that I have, the one that I'm trying to find and the one that I'm given, that's adjacent and hypotenuse. So I know that I need to use cosine because the formula for cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine, this is where you put your angle measure, 24, equals adjacent over hypotenuse, so x over 14. You will always multiply by whatever is on the bottom of your fraction. So I'm going to multiply both sides of this equation by 14. These cancel out. I'm left with x by itself equals 14 times cosine 24. Okay, if I'm entering it on a calculator like this, I enter it just like I see it. 14 times, then hit the cosine button, 24. Enter. You don't have to close the parentheses, but you can if you'd like. I usually round these to 1 or 2 decimal places, whichever you prefer is fine. For this one, I'm going to write that the answer is 12.8. If you're doing it on a Desmos calculator, it is pretty much the same thing. So this is what I'm typing in, and I'm going to type it in just like it shows it here. So 14 times cosine 24. Okay, and here's your answer over here. I'm going to enter to get to the next one. If you are using the phone calculator, okay, it's a little bit more complicated. You kind of have to enter everything backwards. So instead of doing 14 times cosine 24, you are going to work backwards. Enter 24, then cosine, then times 14. Okay, well that didn't work. Let me see something. Sorry. There we go. I must have typed something wrong before. Sorry about that. That's how you would do it on a regular phone calculator. Okay, here's the next one. I have this angle that I'm given, so that's what I'm going to base everything off of. I don't know the hypotenuse. I'm not trying to find the hypotenuse, so I'm not worried about that. You can label it if you want, but you don't need that. The other two sides I know are my opposite and my adjacent. Okay, if this is the angle that I'm given, that's what I'm basing it off of. This is on the opposite side from that angle, so this is opposite. And this is right next to it, so this is adjacent. Okay, if that's what you have, then opposite and adjacent would be tangent. Okay, opposite and adjacent is tangent. So tangent, your angle measure goes here, 40, equals 10 over x. Okay, now this one's different than the one that we did before because my variable was on the top before. It just so happens to be on the bottom here. Okay, there's no specific case where you know if it's going to be top or bottom. It just depends on what you have and what you're given. With opposite and adjacent, I have to use tangent, but tangent says it has to be opposite over adjacent. So I have to put 10 over x. I'm still going to multiply by x, which is the bottom of that fraction, so that I can get rid of the fraction. However, when I do that, it doesn't end up with x by itself. So my new equation is x times the tangent of 40 equals 10. Okay. To get x by itself, because it's being multiplied by the tangent of 40, I'm going to divide by the tangent of 40. Make sure that you do that to both sides of your equation. It cancels out over here. This is what I'm going to enter in my calculator. Okay, if I have a regular calculator, I enter it just like this. 10 divided by tan 40. Divided by tan 40. Again, you can close your parentheses or leave it. 11.9. So this is my answer here, 11.9. Okay, if you are doing it on the Desmos calculator, same thing. The same way I entered it before. 10 divided by tan 40. 10 divided by tan 40. Enter. Same answer over here, 11.9. If you are using the phone calculator, hopefully I can enter this correctly this time. Clear that. Okay, I have to do a couple different things for this. So I can't just work backwards because it's a fraction now and it's not going to work out the same. I need to figure out what this is going to be here, this tan 40. So I'm going to do that first. So 40 and then tangent. Okay, and keep like 3 or 4 decimal places here. The more that you keep, the more accurate it will be. So I'm going to say that this tan 40 is 0.8391. That 0 would round up. 0.8391. Okay, that's what the tangent of 40 is equal to. Now, in my calculator, I will do 10 divided by this number. Okay, so if you can remember this number, then you don't have to write it down, but I have to write it down. So 10 divided by 0.8391. 10 divided by 0.8391. Okay, and then 11.9, which is what I got the other way as well. Okay, last but certainly not least is the question mark here. I am trying to figure out what this angle is. I'm going to base everything off of this angle because that's the one I'm trying to find. I don't have the hypotenuse. That's the side across from the right angle. I'm not doing anything with that right now. If this is the angle that I'm trying to find, and this is across from it, that's the opposite. This is the angle I'm trying to find, and this is right next to it, so that's adjacent. Because I have opposite and adjacent, just like I did up here, I know that I'm using tangent. Tangent of, this is the question mark. Okay, normally we have an angle measure, and that's what we put here, but I don't know the angle measure for this one. That's what I'm trying to find out. Equals opposite over adjacent, so 32 over 40. If you are trying to find the angle for these, this is when you have to use the inverse function. Okay, like up here, this was times tangent of 40, so I did the opposite of that, which is divide by the tangent of 40. Same process here, but instead of having multiplication and division, I have tangent here. I'm trying to get this question mark by itself, and the opposite of tangent is the inverse of tan, which is why you see that -1. Okay, so I'm actually doing the same thing over here. I'm taking the inverse of that, which is why you have to hit the second button or whatever, depending on your calculator. So here's how I'm going to enter this. In a regular calculator, I need to hit second and then tan first. You see how it has that tan to the -1 above that? So I'm going to enter that and then enter this fraction. And you can enter it as a fraction or you can enter it as the top number divided by the bottom. It doesn't matter. 32 divided by 40. I'm going to put 38.7. Keep one decimal place. So 38.7 is this question mark, okay, because those canceled out. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do it on the other calculators, just in case that's what you have. Same way here. I need to do, here it's function. Okay, so you're going to hit this function, and then you can see the inverse of tan. And then same thing, you're going to just enter this 32 over 40. Once you hit main to go back, 32 divided by 40. Enter. Okay, that's the same thing that I got before, 38.7. If you are using this calculator, okay, you're going to do the fraction first. If you're using the regular iPhone calculator, so do 32 divided by 40. Okay, that was this fraction that I had. Hit equals so that you get whatever the decimal is. And then you're going to do the inverse tan thing. Okay, so you're going to enter the fraction first and then do the inverse tan. I have that here, but for this one I have to shift it. I think on the iPhone, this is a little different because it's the iPad, but on the iPhone, there's a second button and it's like up here somewhere. Once you do that, that's your answer. So this is that 38.7 that I got before.